How's it going? We're back again with another video, and this video is going to be about the tools you're going to need to build models. Now, there's a few questions that may get raised by this. Is one, I bought some models, I didn't need glue, I didn't need super glue, I just pushed them together and they fit. End of. Well, yes, that is true for starter sets. Starter sets tend to be classed as push fit models, and effectively you don't need glue. However, when you advance more into the hobby and you start to buy more individual units, you know, if you buy the current starter set and you get some Space Marines and you get some Tyranids, they're all push fit. But as soon as you go out and buy a box of Eradicators, or you go out and buy a Flying Hive Tyrant, they ain't going to stick together on their own. You're going to need glues. So let's start off with glues. Now, there's a few things I want to talk about before we get into glues, and mainly plastic glue. Plastic glue, you're going to see two things. You're going to see two different applicators. The one you're probably going to see the most is this. This is by Citadel. This is Games Workshop. It's about £4 or £5. It's been a while since I bought it. May have gone up now. But effectively, what's in the bottle is the same as everything else. So if you're doing like Revel, Tamiya, any other brand of plastic glue, it's all the same. No one ever disputes the quality of the glue. What I dispute is the applicator. Now, for me, I do not like these applicators. Why? Well, there's one. They get stuck inside to the point where they're quite hard to get out. And secondly, they block, and then you have to get a lighter and heat the end and a little puff, and then it's clear, or use your hob. So I find that these, I think this one's blocked. Yep, it's blocked. Are just not very good for applying glue. Also, I feel like you have less control with these. I much prefer Tamiya. Now, Tamiya comes in two. It comes in extra thin, and it comes as standard. The difference being size of the brush, thickness of the glue, and the colour. So the standard one is a white tub, or a white glass bottle with a white lid. A clear glass bottle with a white lid. And the brush is a lot bigger. This is the extra thin. It's a really thin brush. It's really nice for getting into the small gaps, especially if you put some glue on, you glue it and you find you've not put enough glue on and you can see a gap, and you can just rub this inside and squeeze it together and it glues. So I like the brushes. I feel like you don't waste any, because with these as well, when you squeeze it like this and you put it like this, you know, glue drips down, it settles around it, and you end up losing glue over a period of time. Price wise, they're all about the same. I can show you, I've got an old one here that it's still got a bit of glue in, but yeah, it's an old one. I've got the other one somewhere, but I just couldn't see it when doing this video. So there's your glue, there's your plastic glue. The reason you use plastic glue is it's called plastic cement, and effectively it welds the two pieces together. So it melts the two bits of plastics on the contact points, and it melts them. Makes it really strong. 9 times out of 10, if you glue something with this and you try and take it apart, the plastic will snap at its weakest point, not where you've glued it. It basically makes two pieces of plastic into one. So it's something to remember. Really important if you're doing plastic. Next up, super glue. Super glue has its use for me in terms of where I use it. I use it for putting models on miniatures. There's a Raptor I've been working on. He's glued onto the base with a tiny bit of super glue. So now he's pretty much finished. I can snap him off. I can build the base without any restrictions, and then I can glue him back on with super glue. So if I did that with plastic glue, either his feet would snap or the base would snap. You wouldn't get them apart cleanly. Also, I like super glue for basing. I think when you're putting cork on bases or you're putting stones on bases, I haven't got time to let PVA glue dry. Super glue works really well. And the good thing with super glue is you can buy accelerator. This makes super glue set in seconds. So this is more like a gel. So drying time on this is probably 30 seconds to a minute. But when you've got something fiddly that you want to get on and you want to stick it on, spray, glue, set, basically. Again, not a necessity, but certainly useful. And these come as a pack. They're like a £5. Please, 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 please do not buy things like Loctite. You pay £6, £7 or £8 for a tiny tube that you could probably get one model done with, and it's gone. Buy a big thing like this. Go on Amazon. This is more industrial. It's made for, you know, construction. It's very strong, it's very cheap. Please get this stuff, it is a lot better. So, with glues being done and dusted, probably did this in a weird order, but will make sense, is your snips. Now, people argue about this, what's the best snips? People say Ready Rush Games, they're also like 40 quid. People say Citadel, they're like 25 quid. I say, buy these. These are off eBay. These are copper wire cutters, PC AFC model 170 pliers. They're 3 quid. They are sharp. They are replaceable. These were a gift. These were Coil Master. These are used for building coils for e-cigs, which I don't do, but they are very good and very sharp. These, the main thing you're looking for on your cutters is a flat edge. So when you cut something, you're not going into the piece of plastic. You are cutting flat. So when you're cutting a head off or you're cutting an arm off and you cut it on the bit, it will leave it flat. It won't do a divot into the model where then you have to later fill or whatever. So again, very important for me, but don't spend crazy money. You know, if you're spending £20 plus on these, give your head a wobble, because in my opinion, you don't need to. Buy the cheap ones. I've used these for years. I can sharpen them with a jeweler's file. Very, very simple to do. If you ever want to see a video on how to sharpen these, I will do that. So the next thing is a hobby knife. Why a hobby knife? Again, it has so many uses. Secondly, cleaning up models. For me, I like to cut things off, clean up with a knife, and if needs to, then move on to sanding sticks, which we'll get to on it in a minute. This is from Hobbycraft. It is a Swan Morton, pretty much the go-to blade in the UK. I'm pretty much sure of that. These are like 4 quid. You get the knife, you get 4 blades, and then you can buy the replacement blades from Hobbycraft. Blades are a bit awkward because you can't really buy them online due to like selling knives. But if you have a local, go and have a look for these. Because Citadel's is like 20 quid. There are other companies like Army Painter. That actually, I think Army Painter sell the knives on their website, so you could do it that way. But they're just useful. They're basically a mold line remover. I use it for making bases. I use it for building models. I use it for cutting out decals. I use it for pretty much everything. If you can think of it, use it, because for me, they are super important. I've got a couple of them because it's nice to have spares. So I have 2 knives, because the only bad thing about these is they're circular, so they roll off the table, so they're annoying. But 2 knives, same brand. This one's newer, hence why this is quite dirty. Same brand, Swan Morton. This one hasn't got a design on it, but it was bought from the same place. So, but yeah, really important. Make sure you get some. Again, not necessary to build models, but I think in the long run you'll certainly see the value in owning a hobby knife. However, they are extremely sharp. They are surgical, basically scalpels. The only difference being is that they're not sterile. And I can give you a little bit of an example. Is about 7 or 8 years ago, one of these went into my hand right here when I was trying to take a towel riptide off a base because I glued it with plastic glue. And it went in like that. It cut through ligaments and nerves. A 3-hour operation later, and I don't have feeling now in the top of my little finger. So please be careful. They are very sharp. They will go through skin like butter, and they'll go through all the soft bits in there. Not necessarily bone, but all the other important bits. So be very careful. And then moving on to the last thing, and the most important thing, is getting your models looking perfect. You don't want bits of bobbly plastics where you've cut off. You don't want any mold lines. Sometimes on GW plastic you get weird little wavy lines on the plastic that sometimes are visible when you paint. I use sanding sticks. Are these are actual model sanding sticks. They are more expensive, but I find them to be a bit better. These are nail files, so you get these from like Boots or Hobby Body Care, Savers if you're in the UK. You buy like packs of them for £1. They are the same grit, but the difference being is they're a lot more spongy. so it contours to the model a lot nicer. You risk potentially getting any flat spots from sanding, and in general they're a lot thinner. But this is just a what's the word? These are just more convenient, but you can certainly do everything with these. So I use big ones for like bigger models such as knights or tanks or whatever. These just get used on, you know, anything, but I have a vast amount of these, so these get used. They were really long, they're about this big. I cut them all in half, get double, and if they ever get sort of worn down at the end here, snip, start again, snip, start again. So you get quite a lot of use out of these, and they're very cheap. Yeah, so that's pretty much the most important things you're going to need when doing model building. And these can obviously, this can all be transferred to any models, not just Warhammer. Obviously we focus on Warhammer. Yeah, if you want to see a more advanced tutorial on or video on sort of more niche tools such as drills, Dremels, other random bits, I will happily do that. Same with paints. If you want to see more advanced paints such as oils or enamels or effects and stuff like that, let me know. I will be happy to do it. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, any comments, feel free to leave anything down below, and all the best, guys.